It's pretty gross. Oh yeah, we've got lots of vocabulary and stuff to go over. This is a whole.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole subculture, complete with lingo
It's
beyond just
Bingo.
the Burger King Kids Club member.
Yeah, like there's things that we had to look up to see what they meant.
Wild Mervin has appeared.
Now, Wild Mervin. He's my little. He's our new mascot for FFOP TV as it fleshes itself out. Hey Tony, what's up?
Hi,
Welcome to the
Tony.
green room. Learn about LOLcows. I bet you can't wait. We got Dracula up in the house. It's a Drac attack. Blue Cross wouldn't cover my Dracula surgery. There's a reference for you.
Talking about vocabulary and the typing score is all pictures.
Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words, so that's one hell of a vocabulary test, Kayla.
Oh, snap.
Just think of how many words all those dabs are worth. A lot.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So, oh man. Also, PJ, thank you. I want to say that now I got you on the horn. Thanks for the Last Ronin.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm
Did you crack
still,
into it at all yet?
yeah, I'm still working through it. I think I'm about a quarter of the way through it because I've been able to dedicate just a few minutes at a time in between various crap going on around here. But it's really interesting so far. It's a little cliche, but I, can't expect much out of it. It's a comic.
Is that Rob drinking?
Probably. It might be a Mike Soft lemonade. You can't really read the label.
Yeah. Even after learning what LOLcows are, I still want to
I'll
see
see.
LOLcows.
I'll see Mr. RJ tomorrow.
Oh. Nice.
By see him, I mean not physically.
Is he? You putting a hit on him?
No, we tomorrow's our D&D game, so
He's
we
my.
haven't had it in like a month, so this will be the first. And even the last time we played, I don't think Rob was there, so literally haven't seen him in a while.
You guys do it over Zoom?
Over Zoom. No, we did it on Discord.
You have a Zoom meeting?
You have a Zoom generation sort of thing going on?
Live as hell.
Live
Why
as
am I
hell.
not in hell though?
Because you're alive, dummy. The only way you can get to hell while still being alive means you have to be evil enough that your soul drops down to hell, is judged by King Minos, and your body is then inhabited by a demon. So you are both in and out of hell, physically but not spiritually.
Wow.
Just, keep that in mind. Don't step to me when it comes to the lore of hell, because I know it all. All right. How long are we going here? Should be keeping an eye on the time.
Well, we've got 5 people.
Couple more minutes, we'll start rolling. Hope you guys like that title card. I had to steal those LOLcows heads and stick them on there. Of course, you can't see it now.
Right. I like Lil Mervin.
So, question, PJ. How much Star Wars merch did you come home with from Florida?
I only got the lightsaber.
Nerd! How much are those, by the way?
$250.
Not surprised. $250?
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's just for the hilt.
Holy fuck. So how much for the blight?
Another 50 for that.
Did
Jesus
you
And then there's and then I got a case so that I can carry it and keep it protected.
Oh
as
God,
well.
of course you want to carry it and keep it with you at all times. Here's the thing.
'Cause like I had to get on a plane with it, so like
Yeah.
it goes in. TSA literally has a thing on their website that whenever people bring the lightsabers on the planes, they go in overhead. But like I
Right.
still was worried about it. So
Here's the thing. I'm mostly jealous because Star Wars fans will get like IRL movie quality props in their hands in their lifetime, whereas a Ninja Turtles fan like me is totally fucked on that side. Like, there's never going to be like the amount of IRL like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle props and shit that you Star Wars fans are so goddamn spoiled, and it makes me sick to my
dude.
ass.
the Galaxy's, so like out of all the places that we went to when we were at Disney, Galaxy's Edge was it's the attention to detail throughout the park it's literally insane. You feel like you're on a movie set. Like the best way I can put it. On top of that, like all the employees there are all dressed like characters from the movies. So like it's really immersive. Like it tries to make it as immersive as it possibly can.
I feel that's the thing. I imagine you were probably having to like change your Depends every other time somebody stepped out in costume, right? Because you just blow your wad in the. Oh my god!
And then also they did the blue milk from like the movie. They had
god!
But so like the blue milk, I don't even know what was in it, but it tasted amazing. I'm like, it's like vanilla and like a bunch of it was.
Did it come out of a big fake animal?
No,
that would have been hilarious.
It was very good.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, like I was there's a bunch of simulation rides in that part of the park. So
I mean, yeah, of course.
You fly the Millennium Falcon in a smuggler's run type mission.
Yeah, well, everything else would be like sort of immersion breaking, right? Because they can't have like a Star Wars themed roller coaster. You see a bunch of slack jawed yokels holding Mountain Dews. You know, the immersion, breaks.
Tony says it better be a real lightsaber.
Yeah, it's real light.
There's a ride called Rise of the Resistance though. That one, like it's basically like you join the Resistance, or you're going to join the Resistance, then you get captured by First Order soldiers, and they bring you to an interrogation room. In which
do you kiss Adam Driver?
And then they put you in an escape pod, or they're helping you escape. And then the escape part is the actual ride. So like you're on a cart and it's like going around, and just the detail, because it's not like screens, like it's full on like set pieces. It's just the detail. It literally, I can't stress enough how much that detail was. And they're doing it in Epcot as well with the Guardians of the Galaxy part. So they're building out like a whole section of Epcot that looks like it's from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Huh.
And like cool. It looks like it's not done yet. Like half of it is done. But even what they have, I'm like, when it's done, it's gonna look just like Star Wars is. You're gonna feel like you're on Nova Prime.
Okay, hold on, PJ. You really have to address the typing square here. You're dodging the question. Do you kiss Adam Driver, or a facsimile?
Yeah.
do you kiss a staff member dressed as Adam Driver?
No.
All right, I regret bringing up Star Wars because, as always, we went down a rabbit hole and we got to start the show. Here we go.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Welcome to the show. My name is Dave, and this is FFOP TV. It's just easier to say. Mm-hmm. Guys, you know what we're doing here. We're talking about LOLcows. We were talking about Star Wars before, but now that the show has started, I put a moratorium on it.
But the typing square is still talking about Star Wars.
I will start banning the typing square if Star Wars becomes the topic.
You cannot ban me.
I've got multiple moderators in there right now who I will drop the ban hammer on unless they drop the ban hammer on those who Star Wars it up in my typing square. Speaking of the people who are Star Warsing it up in my typing square, you know him and love him. These pictures right there. It's PJ Status Fooo back on the show. What's up, PJ?
It's Mr. Poop J in the flesh.
Did you see your poop job slide? Did it play?
I didn't see it.
Damn it.
I didn't see it.
I do have one for you. You'll have to tune in sometime and see it. But Krista's also here. She's sitting over there.
I'm sitting over here.
So let's do it, guys, because LOLcows are something that
LOLcows. LOLcows.
It's not LOLcows, PJ. It's not. I'm going to start really bagging on Star Wars if you're going to, like, LOLcow me this bullshit.
Dave, you already bag on Star Wars, so...
Yeah, but I'm wearing kid gloves so thick, like, you would not believe it.
You're just a Padawan. We'll get you to Jedi soon.
I don't know what that means. Lol. Yeah, they're
LOLcows.
LOLcows.
Home Depot cows. They're LOLcows. Moral of the story is, here's the concept. If you're brand new to this, and I'm bringing this to you fresh, here's the idea. A LOLcow is someone that the internet, spawns a community around. Typically, they have some sort of mental subnormity. All the ones that I find, or all the popular ones, seem to have some sort of diagnosable problem, but that doesn't seem to preclude them from being a LOLcow, like by either the people who know them or the people who troll them. Like there's no what is it? Crap. There's no something among scumbags. No respect among scumbags or some shit.
No honor amongst scumbags.
No, yeah, there's no honor among thieves, but there's no respect among scumbags.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Like these people are essentially messed with in such a way, and to varying degrees, right? So I'll just go ahead and mention the godfather of them all, Chris Chan. Have you heard of this person?
PJ.
The name doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, so I don't blame you for not. It's just he's like she, they, whatever they are identifying as now, is like the biggest one there ever is / was, because basically Chris Chan was this person growing up with autism, created a character called Sonichu, right? Which is just Sonic and Pikachu in one character. Nope. Says Jill. So okay, yeah.
Sonic and Pikachu.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the genesis of the idea was that he in high school had to make an album cover for a CD and couldn't use any copyrighted material, but loved Pokemon and Sonic. Decided to throw the two together, found a loophole, made Sonichu, and through various highlights and sagas has been catfished multiple times. There are Etsy stores and products surrounding these people like you would not believe.
When he created, Chris Chan created pendants that he made out of, I'm assuming clay, of Sonichu's like head and sold it on Etsy, right?
Yeah, but that's just it. That's that small slice of the products that are produced in all of this. But the reason why Chris Chan is so important is because what the modern day LOLcow is, back then he was the pioneer of them. Like back then he was still identifying as a he because he has since transitioned into a she, and is in jail currently for having inappropriate sexual relations with their mother.
Yeah.
But
with their own mother?
yes.
Yeah.
And depending on the story you want to believe in or look up, I'm going to leave most of this up to you if you want to dive into it. I'll give you some highlights though. So, depending on who you want to believe, it was either a massive and wildly manipulative troll that got them to finally engage in sexual activity with their own mother, coupled with the fact that the mom is like suffering from dementia. And just Google the pics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing. So that's the groundwork, right? Because Chris Chan got back in the day, there was for documenting weirdos on the internet, there was a page called Encyclopedia Dramatica. So Chris Chan got himself a page on there and became so wildly popular in that subsection of the internet, trolls, if you will, that either he started himself or someone started, and the ownership flip-flop back and forth, started his own forums called the Quickie Forums, because it's Christian Weston Chandler, CWC, so everything is quick. So it was the Quickie Forums instead of the Wiki Forums, that through blah, 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 here we are now in Kiwi Farms, which is just Quickie Forums mispronounced. So Kiwi Farms is now the main hub, and I don't know if it's gone still or not. It got shut down over some bullshit or another. I don't know. But we're not talking about that. The reason for the season is basically Chris Chan's. These are all buds of Chris Chan's original sprouting. You know
Which
what
is
I mean?
nuts, because when David started watching Chris Chan's videos, I'm like, what are we why are we watching this? This is ridiculous. All he does is yell at the camera about stupid shit. And now that we've watched 3 or 4 different LOLcows, I'm like, they all do that. They all do the same thing.
Yeah. So that's the thing about it, is every LOLcow does a specific flavor of thing, though they all come across as
annoying.
the same. Like to a person who doesn't like jazz, all jazz is just smooth jazz, and it's all just this white noise. But so here are the two I'm going to talk about that are my 2 favorite active LOLcows that I'm slowly maybe aging out of, because it feels, after a while, after the laughter and everything sort of dies down, it feels kind of gross to have this toxic community provide so much entertainment, but regardless. So one of them that he's got a lot of health problems, right? He was born super early. He brings all this up himself. His name is Cyrax.
Yeah.
But he goes by about 1 million different names. He goes by DK Customs. He goes by Freak Show. He goes by Cyrax, spelled about 5 different ways. And his real name is Chance Wilkins. So he raps ish. He plays video games, plays guitar and stuff. And I'm going to wholeheartedly recommend that you take in the song Street Racing Scene. It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
It's a rap?
Yeah, it's kind of like and also, so here's the thing, it plays to a soft spot in my heart because it is auto-tuned to shit, right? So it really reminds me of the early days and Cher and all the pioneers in that respect.
Okay.
So the context here is he's really into, according to him, racing culture and the street racing scene. And he wrote this banger song that a lot of people say about it. But he can't drive. He doesn't have a license. He's only ever raced on video games. So he doesn't have a lot of street cred is what I'm getting at. And like to the point where he, I don't know how he attached it, but he somehow attached like a harness seatbelt to his gaming computer chair. And he was talking about how great it was. But so what the moral of the story is, everybody has their own flavors, and they all basically yell because they're always provoked by their trolls.
But the trolls don't bother them. The trolls are jealous of who they are.
Yeah, the trolls are very jealous. That's the one running thing through all the LOLcows that I know of, because beyond King Cobra, JFS, and Cyrax, there's...
I think you need to show it to me because I might have a pretty good example of what it is from certain streamers on Twitch.
Oh yeah, there are
So
tons
if
of
you
them.
show it to me, then I can connect it to that because I'm pretty sure there's a handful of streamers on Twitch who act in that same manner,
I'm
and
sure.
their chat treats them the same way.
Yeah, they're
So-
everywhere. Like LOLcows are not specific to any one place. They pop up in every community like mold. Like Darkside Phil, if you're familiar with that guy, he's a LOLcow who is in the video game community who like jumped from YouTube to Twitch and back a couple of times because like basically what it boils down to is it's e-begging, but it's like a freak show that's constantly evolving.
Yeah, I literally just looked it up. There's streamers that I know of who are considered LOLcows.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and I know them. So
Not like
I've
personally.
kind of seen the example of like I've seen their streams and how they do things. So yeah, let me see what's going on here.
Yeah, so what we're looking at here is somebody who is so out of touch with reality that they allow themselves to get caught up in these dramas and or sagas, if you will, because sagas are huge in the LOLcow community, with these people, and it's all fabricated. But I'll if you want, you can go over Chris Chan's stuff on your own time, because I recommend it. There's a lot of interesting stuff to go into. But like, say, like for Cyrax, since he's into music, he had a saga where he got signed by a record company called Clown Sound Records. They didn't exist. They sold this non-existent contract to Cyrax's mortal enemy, a man by the name of Music Biz Marty. And he was the Backer Boys or the Something Boys. It doesn't matter. Something Records, and there was a bunch of fights, and he's constantly threatening murder against people and stuff. And, in the meantime, when all that is not happening and there's not troll drama, it's basically like, hey, hit up my PayPal or hit up my Cash App or hit up my whatever.
Right, because they don't have a job, and I mean, they could be on disability or Social Security or. I feel the cringe already.
Yeah.
It's gonna be heavy cringe. I'm just waiting for you to play it now.
Well, like, that's the thing. I don't have anything to show you necessarily, because like I can recommend channels that have it. Let's see. Fun fact: Music But Marty was also Lauren R. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's the thing. Chatterbait Billy brings up a good point. A lot of trolls overlap. Like there are a lot of trolls who go from Cyrax's community to King Cobra JFS to Chris Chan or to, God dang it, there's one who starts with a U that I can't remember, or Darkside Phil or whoever. It doesn't really matter. Leafy became a LOLcow. You know, everybody knows his name.
It's crazy.
But here's the beauty of it is the economy that it spawns. And you think, well, this is all disgusting. It's just basically someone who gets a YouTube channel, streams basically nonsense, and is yelled at by a chat square all day, right? And on the outside, that's what I thought. It was basically a superficial, like, instead of having to hassle someone on a forum somewhere where all you can see is text, you were making them dance on the hot plate before your very eyes, essentially. Mm-hmm. But it's crazy how deep it goes. And so one thing that always blows my mind is the economy, right? Because with the LOLcows, a lot of farm animals are involved here. So if you give LOLcows money, you're a pay pig. So if you support a LOLcow, and like there's another, you can do it ironically, like if they have an Etsy store or an eBay store or whatever, you can do it like that and leave them terrible reviews. Or you can be like a white knight, which is another term in this community, where, because there's always going to be a subsection of the population who's going to support whoever because, you know, their intentions are good or whatever. I'm pulling for you, man, whatever. May God bless you, or whatever the case may be. And so there'll always be a small subsection of white knights if you have a big enough audience. And like King Cobra has like 46,000 followers on YouTube. I mean, his videos get like, I don't know, 2K hits a pop, so not great penetration wise into that community. But he's making money. He makes these magic wands that sell out through Etsy.
When he makes them.
Here's the thing. You have to be okay with a lot of things if you're going to be a LOLcow. And since they walk into it, they don't realize it. But here's the thing. I'm in real time.
The question, my question would be is this, because I know the people who do this on Twitch are faking and do it.
Oh yeah, they're not faking
it. They're not, like, the people who do it, they're faking to get views and to get viewers to respond to them a certain way. Uh-huh. They're not really like that. So, like, and I was just looking up information on them, like, they're being talked about on the LOLcows site. They're blatantly faking to trigger their viewers into acting on that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a money-making business. So whether you are a true, legitimate LOLcow or you're doing it for the money, like, some things you're going to have to consider, because these dudes and ladies, they're LOLcow ladies too, they get doxxed all the time. And, like, for instance, King Cobra, he's always getting a healthy mix of care packages from his white knights and, like, glitter bombs and shit, or, like, DoorDash orders that are insane, or grinder dates that just show up during live streams, and they blow up his phone. So, you know, is like, let's say, because, like, we have Patreon, PayPal, Cash App, and they're pushing all of these ways to get paid all the time, plus whatever stores or, you know, whatever they run. Like, is that enough to, like, completely just destroy your dignity?
Right. Chatterbait Billy says there's also trolls who try to ruin other trolls.
Right.
Others trolls.
It's so, yeah, okay. And I'm glad you brought that up, because there was a saga with King Cobra JFS where one troll stepped up, and basically the scam was he was trying to get Cobra to do voice acting for some cartoon. And, you know, all of his trolls, it's so weird to see all these people who attack someone, see someone rise above them and they attack him instead. Because that happens with Chris. That happened with Chris Chan too. When a big troll would come and do, like, you know, try and do some major damage, they would be swatted down. Like the present case with Elizabeth Janky, whatever her first name is, that janky person who is, if you want to believe it, at the core of this whole mom gate. Like,
With Chris Chan stuff?
yeah, with Chris Chan, like, everybody hates her, but she's doing just everything everybody else is doing, just too far for
Right.
even that level of people.
And I don't get, like, my whole thing is, who has this time to be a troll? Like, who has the time to do all these shenanigans against these people that you only know through a YouTube videos?
That's the thing. So that's another aspect of it that blows my...
Trolls will troll.
Well, yeah.
I can't even say anything because I literally troll people daily.
Right.
So,
But there's a difference between like lighthearted trolling, which is just like being a lighthearted pest or nuisance to people you know and like. And then there's like hate speech or like really dangerous stuff like getting swatted and shit.
Showing up at somebody's house.
The internet is full of that right now.
Well,
So-
that's what I'm saying. Like, so don't lump yourself in as a troll because you're like messing with the computer at work to change the wallpaper to a kooky anime or something.
Oh, no, I troll people specifically on Discord all day. So,
Oh, well,
but like
still.
but I just mean in general, like troll. There are like people create troll accounts to just troll things
Yeah.
all day, and they just do it because they find it fun. They do it. And they like the anarchy of it.
Well, yeah, and that's part of it too. Is because every LOLcow brings up because they're basically all delusional and think that their infamy is fame, and that they have a healthy mix of fans who are just quiet out there amongst the trolls, who are the only ones in the chat, or whatever. But it just seems so I don't know, because so the LOLcows go, you're obsessed with me, and the trolls go, no, you're just a train wreck. But it's both true. Like, yeah, Chris Chan, King Cobra, Cyrax, Darkside Phil, Pro Jared became a LOLcow. There's a bunch of them out there. The trolls like to, because you can see it in the chat when they interact. It is a very like us versus you, and you are definitely below us. But it's exactly equal. Like, they are interacting, and not only is it equal, like the LOLcow is slightly elevated because they are being supported by the trolls who
Right.
pat themselves on the back and go, we're really beating down this subhuman into shape, but then slipping them $5 into the Cash App, or buying the wand, or buying the medallion, or buying the album because they all produce albums for some reason.
It's crazy. It's nuts. And then then you haven't even gotten to the people that splice videos together to make videos for people to follow.
Yeah, so I'll recommend a couple of channels if you want to go out there, because if you follow Cyrax or King Cobra JFS or any of these people's like channels directly, it's often long, raw, boring content. But I recommend the Boglum Chronicles, Boglum with an M. Basically just goes through and edits all the live streams, all the juicy bits, and edits in all the chat. So shout out to them, whoever they are, because they do a great job. And for Cyrax, I usually go to the UIPS or UPIS or something like that. There's a couple of people out there dedicated to each LOLcow that put out pretty good content if you want to keep up with that sort of stuff.
It's kind of crazy watching, since we, when Chris Chan, we started watching Chris Chan, I mean, we went through like the catalog. I didn't even see all of it, but you can see from start to finish, like how their lives pretty much kind of, I don't know, changed to just weirder and weirder and weirder. And the same with King Cobra. Like, it's just...
Well, here's the thing about it too, is that I don't think that this type of person could have existed in any other time period. No other time period could somebody gain an audience by essentially not moving a muscle.
Right.
Right? Because, you could be the village idiot and maybe you're just a nuisance to a few people. But as the high tide lifts all ships, you get yourself a computer, a camera, and a YouTube channel, and you can have several thousand people all laughing and bankrolling your life.
Yeah. King Cobra he'll stream for like 6 hours, and half of it is him not even being there.
Yeah, he'll get drunk and pass out. So here's the thing, PJ, what would it take for you specifically? Like, what would you need to make per month to become a LOLcow and basically deal with this barrage of incoming shit at varying degrees?
I don't think you could pay me enough to do it.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't want to deal with the constant influx of trolls on the internet. Like trolls are brutal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I get that, but here's the thing.
If something isn't all there for you and you're doing this, this is gonna sound bad no matter what way I say it. If you don't like fully grasp it, but like trolls can literally ruin your life.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I would never want that. Like never, because they're bad to people who aren't even LOLcows.
But so
But
here,
yeah.
but here's some of the things you have to consider, though. It all depends on how you are as the LOLcow, because like King Cobra's trolls, crowd, they don't really do anything super malicious. He got swatted once, but like I feel like everybody who's gotten over a certain number of followers on any platform has been swatted. So
What does
maybe
that
that
mean?
was just a fluke, but it's mostly like food orders and just annoying stuff. Whereas Cyrax has people driving across the country and crossing state lines to go harass him in his front yard because Cyrax antagonizes his trolls. Whereas King Cobra has more of a passive I hate my trolls, I ignore them, but half of his content is about the trolls, but it's in a low energy complainy sort of way where people just continually send him low energy pranks. Whereas, Cyrax, he cranks it up to 11, Steam shoots out his tiny ears, and he starts talking about putting bullets in people's heads, and shit gets serious for him.
Yeah.
So
my question is really going to come down to is this entertaining?
that's
what
the
you're
thing.
describing to me doesn't describe like something I would ever want to watch.
Mhm. It's
So I'm like you're saying this to me and I'm like why would I ever want to engage in any of this?
So it slipped into my consciousness through the back door because I love documentaries on basically any person, because I feel like anybody's life story has enough even the most boring person has a compelling life story if it's told correctly. And so I stumbled upon Chris Chan's at now into the 70s probably episode documentary by Gino Samuel, because it was something. It felt like a long Ken Burns documentary where it wasn't necessarily taking sides. It wasn't making fun, nor was it absolving. It was just a look at the events and how both sides interacted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got hooked, because it portrayed both parties as essentially neutral, because the creator of the documentary wasn't necessarily on either side, because they were both doing terrible things objectively to one another. So
Is it just like the train wreck aspect of it? I don't
that's the thing. It kind of is.
I don't I like friendly troll, but people who are these the really deep trolls, I want no part of it. I literally want nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it can get weird and scary and stuff. But that being said, it is interesting to see somebody's unfiltered stream of consciousness, because I feel like this is my personal opinion. You can agree with it or not, but we are very guarded, and as things become faster and information becomes more easily accessible, we become more personally guarded all the time. I think a huge chunk of why people are attracted to these LOLcows is because they have no filter. So they're an open book, and it's somewhat refreshing, as disgusting as it is at times, because some of these people are really gross. It's refreshing to have someone be so candid, no matter what context, I feel.
Yeah.
And so when someone is so openly, because that's the thing, if someone was just open, you go, what an open soul. But if they're open about something weird, we somehow write ourselves a free ticket to like make fun of them.
Yeah.
Like an extreme being like a map, like a minor attracted person, like is as soon as they're open and proud about the thing that most people are like, oh, that's weird. We go, oh, gross. But now that you're self-aware about it, fuck you for it, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of it too, is like a lot of people who walk that line. Like there's a character out there called Linkara, if you want to look that person up. But they were involved in the channel awesome thing that, you know, in my opinion, he kind of played it right, even though he was doing some weird things that could have teetered him over into LOLcow territory. If you shut the fuck up and don't engage, people can't stoke a fire if there is, you know, the trolls are the gas and you are the match. If you don't blow up, they can't fan the flames and toss shit on you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a bunch of people out there who walk that line. And, you know, other people are just the inferno. People come by and blow up all day, every day. Because one of Cyrax's gimmicks is he leaves YouTube forever, just about every 48 hours. Like, it's like Base Shaman and there's another guy out there who are basically covering some of these LOLcows live. There's a whole like shooting thing where someone maybe possibly shot a bullet through Cyrax's window, which has been pretty thoroughly debunked. I'm not going to get into the details, but you can do it if you want to. But it's a day-by-day coverage where it's like, I'm leaving the internet, and they disappear for 4 to 6 to 8 to 48 hours. When they pop back up, it's like nothing ever happened. And when the trolls bring up the fact that they were never coming back, they were like, it's always somehow softly boiled away. Like, I didn't say I was never coming back. I just said I was going to be away for a while.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, it was just a joke.
But here's the thing. This is their money system.
Right.
How do you quit a job with no other prospect?
Yeah, which is nuts. It's crazy. All of everything about this is crazy.
I think there's
I'm
probably
everything about this sounds literally crazy.
oh, it is. But that's the thing. There's niches for these type of people, and so as insane as it is, like on the outside without looking very deep, it's like, what the fuck? But it is such a tight economy and the inner workings of it are so highly tuned. It's incredible because there are tiers of payments too, because like the pay pigs pay the LOLcows. And then the people who make the content of the LOLcows, like the Boglum Chronicles, for instance, they have a shit ton of patrons too. So it's this cascading of support for artists and art, if you want to call it that. And then the trolls who basically steal the likeness of LOLcows and sell their merch on Etsy, like King Cobra, beyond his shop, has his face plastered all over shirts and hats and shit.
Yep.
And without his consent, but what's he going to do? Who do you call when someone stole your image and you're basically just someone who has 40,000 followers on YouTube?
Would the LOLcows survive without the trolls? No.
That's the thing. I know. Like, these are people who before the internet would have subsisted off of the way they are basically living now, living in a family's either basement or attic, but having no interaction with the outside world, simply living off of Social Security, as most of them do, or at least the ones that I watch do.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure like with King Cobra JFS, like his dad or whatever has to pay for his apartment and stuff like that, unless his Social Security pays for it because he got fired from Wendy's.
And that's why I don't, like, as crazy as it all is, I think it's a overall net positive. As much as the trolls say that the LOLcows are ruining the planet, and as much as the LOLcows proclaim that the trolls are the Illuminati confirmed on the internet, and now just, hey, Matt Willis, and are now just focused on them. It's a net positive because, like,
what if I think they're both bad?
Well, what do you mean? Like, yes, they are both bad.
They're both perpetuating each other.
Right.
So
yeah, but that's the beauty.
One doesn't
of it.
exist without the other, so it doesn't make either one of them necessarily bad. It makes both of them bad.
Well, it doesn't make either one good
if
or
one
bad.
doesn't exist, neither of them exist.
Exactly.
So
you put it exactly right. They arose mutually.
Yeah.
So like to me, like it's either they're good or they're bad. I don't think because the trolls don't exist if the LOLcows don't exist. And like when trolls get bad, it's bad. But like, I don't know.
Well, okay, so
This sounds literally insane to me.
Just think of it like this. Okay, so because you're thinking about it as a person involved, and I am coming from it as a person detached as an observer. So when you think about it like this, the LOLcows are basically just losing their shit on a public forum in front of a bunch of people who come to, stamp their ticket and watch. So it's nothing more than any other form of entertainment. It's no less real or fake. Like all of the schemes these LOLcows live through are imaginary. It's just they buy into it, and that you can't stop that. There's always going to be people like that. I think that overall, it doesn't really leak out into society. It's not like these people aren't like they're not going to break out and change the world. So they've got a nice little contained space and forums and shit like that. And all of that aside, the commerce alone, like the money exchanging hands, like this is I don't know, there's probably somebody keeping tabs on some way to like see how much money is exchanging hands through products and services and shout outs and cameos and all the other ways these people eBay. But economically, it helps something because before, if they didn't have internet access at all, there'd be nothing there from anybody. So, I mean, in any, boil it down to this, it at least produces something. It's a net positive in that it is something that some people enjoy. And it makes money. It's like, that's the thing that blows my mind the most about it is like the people who support the people who support the people who support the people.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like
all of this sounds literally nuts. Like I'm listening to it and I'm like this little subsection sounds absolutely nuts.
Okay, so think of it like this, right? So
I think I got it. I just think that it's nuts. And I'm like I'm just like browsing through some of it and like looking at some of it. It literally looks nuts.
It totally is. But that's just it. It's like it's just a crazy flavor of the endless like ice cream counter that is the internet. Because like okay, so what do you think? Personally, it is the stupidest soap opera, Tony, but it is still compelling. Soap operas can get under your skin. So let me ask you this. If we were going to put up two internet subspecies up against each other, like how would you judge them? I just want your gut reaction. Like someone who writes basically Sonic fan fiction all day and like that's their life, or like a LOLcow who is constantly putting on shows for these trolls and sustaining an ecosystem. Because the person writing all the gross Sonic fanfic is probably doing their fair share of furry commissions, and they're probably an artist too. So they're both generating money on the internet, not necessarily hurting anybody. Is there a difference there to you?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, also like some of these LOLcows seem like people who legitimately at some in their life needed some kind of fucking help.
Oh yeah.
And they just didn't get it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like if they're being legit. And I think that's what bothers me the most is like they just needed fucking something and society literally failed. Literally failed.
But that's you can't. I mean, obviously, yes, you are correct.
But also, like,
sort of unspoken.
You bring up fan fiction and stuff like that. People who do fan fiction, whether it be ridiculous or not, like there are people who do fan fiction who end up writing novels, who become novelists.
Well, I'm not talking about those people. We're talking about LOLcows and people who do Sonic fan fiction.
But they're still using art, and most people who are writing fanfic go do other things. They don't just stick to fanfic.
Right, but here's the thing. The LOLcows also are a plethora a smorgasbord, if you will, of various artistic expressions. I have seen multiple animations, music videos. I've heard, dozens of songs, millions of pieces of art, both physical and digital. Like, they both are creating things.
Yeah, the wands is what King Cobra makes. That,
That's what's wild to me is it's a single person generating an entire economy, essentially.
But they're creating an economy for trolls.
Right, but it doesn't matter.
But like,
because
trolls are bad. Trolls are bad.
yeah, but
like,
what are you gonna do? The war on drugs, we lost that. Drugs are
know,
bad.
But like, all of this sounds literally ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I'm not asking like for you to be okay with it. Like, there's no aspect of it you should be okay with because it's human.
Is like when you told me about the concept of it and I looked it up and I saw those particular streamers, I've been in their streams and in their chats, and it is uncomfortable to be sitting there watching that because the trolls are so aggressive on them. And like the streamers that I'm giving were fairly big streamers. Their streams could be anywhere from 10 to 50,000 people actively watching them. So like and they're just running with it, letting the trolls in the chat just get insane.
Well, everything
and
has...
like one of them had to calm down on that because it was affecting his real life because the trolls were getting to him and he was just messing around with people. He wasn't being like, that's not how he really is.
And everything has an 11, but there are a bunch of low energy, low grade, like low effort economies.
All it takes is one bad troll, and that's my issue.
Well, yeah,
all it takes is one bad troll, and if you're inviting trolls,
one bolt falls out of a train and you're dead, like on your way to work. Like we're all putting our necks out on the line.
One bolt falls out of the train, but this is you getting on a rusty train. Like that's what this is. Like you're inviting trolls.
Right.
So
some
you're
people,
inevitably going to get bad trolls because you're inviting them.
Some people walk into volcanoes and collect lava. Some people go into the water with sharks to study them.
There's scientific reasons.
Which are for
like they're
what?
doing it for the greater good. What is this?
What,
for?
Really? Yeah, greater good. Like, creature comforts aside, we're all doing things just because we like them. Just because this is a bizarre concept, which I get. But like,
it's just know that it is really bizarre to me.
But this is how I feel when you talk to me about Star Wars, because I have zero connection to these people. The mythology is absolute batshit insane to me, but it's huge. And people connect to it. And I go, what? And I obviously have to say, it's obviously a positive thing, no matter what your subjective opinion. It is, it is the fountain spring, the fountainhead, if you will, of a bunch of creativity that inspires and blah, blah, blah. Same thing's happening here. It's just on a weirder, more warped, infinitely more personal and weird level. But if there's a niche that exists in any given system, it'll be filled. And like I'm saying, if you were the town fool or the city drunk or whatever before and you couldn't get on YouTube, your life was probably more stark. Like, King Cobra should be dying of cirrhosis of the liver in a gutter somewhere in a free hospital.
Yeah,
but all he's got to do is hop onto YouTube and start e-begging, which he calls an exchange of commerce, and which I interpret as the pay pigs exchanging their self-respect for their money. But that's just it. Any other time in history, these dudes would be the chaff ground up by the mill of life. And they would be just a forgotten, crazy homeless person, but they found a niche and they are sustaining themselves rather comfortably, which I would call a positive. These people should be institutionalized in any other time period, and they would be.
Yeah.
But put them in front of a camera on YouTube and they can sustain themselves no matter how ridiculous it may seem.
Yeah, Jill says, oh, good Lord, they're into porn too.
Oh, totally.
Kale says some trolls live under bridges and have a vendetta against the Billy Goat's gruff.
It's true. They were the originals.
But yeah, like you said, PJ, and Jill asked, they wouldn't be a thing without the trolls supporting them, and yeah, some trolls are bad. Like there are ones that but they could be bad. Like they sent King Cobra like what he thought were cigars, and it ended up blowing up glitter all over his house.
And that's the thing. I don't want this show to come across as like me advocating for being a troll, being a LOLcow, or even participating in the culture.
It's just a crazy existence.
It is. I just think it's a microcosm of literally every other economy, except we can pin it down to exactly one commodity, and that's the person at the center of this cult of personality.
Yeah.
There are rings around them in which money and products and ideas and music swirl. And without them, or without the internet so they could grow up in it, I think we'd be poorer for it.
Oh yeah, King Cobra sells them on Etsy.
Yeah, King Cobra Craft Wands or Cobra Craft Wands or something like that.
Yeah, he makes them himself, and he makes them in his apartment. The second apartment, he now does not probably spray paint in his apartment.
Yeah, look into the lore because it's all there. Cisco. Wonthong. Yeah, he carries one around in his pocket.
Yeah.
And that's just it. If you're relatively harmless, you can make a comfortable living with very little risk. But yeah, you're always going to run the risk of crazy people on the internet. But I mean, literally walk in any job and point to someone who works there you don't feel quite comfortable about, but don't really have a choice anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you're waiting for that guy to snap. It's just you can't see the face of the troll on the other end of the screen.
Hit him a Snickers, and then he'll be okay.
we're rolling the dice on humanity every day. And it can be said that celebrities, obviously, it's mostly the fanfare that reaches the surface, but people troll them all the time. They just have a wall of agents and lawyers and shit to keep out the riffraff.
Right.
These people are just embracing the wave of paping money.
I said in the chat, it's like reality. It's real life reality TV because, reality TV shows were not real.
But it's not. It's like art. It's like the VR of real. But it's not, though, because all of the things that they are living through, every saga that Chris Chan or Cobra or Cyrax or Darkside Phil, all of those sagas were completely made up by somebody else. And they ran through the paces like a dog through an obstacle course.
Yeah.
So it's reality TV in that the scenarios are completely fake, but the person reacting to them is reacting real.
Right. It's their real life.
Yeah. It's like The Truman Show, which again is a divisive movie because you go, what?
Yeah.
Because you are watching other people directly pull the strings of somebody's life.
Yeah, it's strange.
But yeah, it'll give you I've ridden the entire roller coaster of emotion from being in awe to grossed out to impressed by the sheer scale of it to the people involved and the talent displayed for such a seemingly pedantic and pointless task. But again, if you have an artistic flair and you get pointed toward a troll, that's the way that the universe rolled your die.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, like these individuals that are the LOLcows probably needed to seek some kind of help or guidance or anything growing up and things, but if they have the wherewithal to make these videos and know that there are people that are trolling them, like there's still something there that they have the knowledge that they're being trolled, but at the same time, those trolls are giving them money, so it's a double-edged sword.
I don't want to condone any of it, really, because I think the whole economy is gross, but child labor is gross, and it happens. You buy things in a store made by a child right now, and you don't feel bad about it unless I bring it up. So that's just it. It just sort of exists in a pocket of its own reality, and unless you die, like everything else, I don't think about furries until they splash up over some social media thing when they make a headline somewhere, and I go, ugh, oh yeah, those things. But I'm not constantly out, picketing. But if I didn't have a job, maybe I would. I'd be the anti-furry LOLcow. Money's good enough. I might.
Thoughts? PJ?
What do you think, PJ?
I'm lost. So I'm lost to this one. I think it's I don't even
it's
literally
interesting.
have nothing. I dislike trolls to a very strong level, and the fact that like
Self-loathing.
trolls are very much a part of that community means I want literally nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but
I actively hate the trolls that do that kind of stuff to a high degree. So
isn't it so weird how we'll put ourselves on that spectrum, but we'll draw our lines because the person at that end of the spectrum where you go, that's too far, even they can point further down and go, that's too far for me.
Yeah.
And that's how we get the trolls
I just don't
fighting
like
against trolls.
Period, because it doesn't
But
matter
you do it.
to what degree.
You're an admitted troll.
I'm a troll in a joking manner, but like the trolls in that the way you're describing things is like the people who prank and then go even further. Like I just don't want to partake in things that actively do.
I don't want to make it seem like that's a regular occurrence. These are obviously the highlights. Everybody who are, subject to these things, it's not like a daily occurrence. It's by and large a bunch of low level, just money flowing in. And that's what's so, once you get past all of the superficial animosity, there is a sort of camaraderie among the trolls and also an affection toward the LOLcow, because they do, as weird and quasi bizarre and sick as it is, the trolls sort of see the LOLcow as their own little pet.
They it seems like they're fucking with them, and
right.
that also bothers me too.
But there's a deeper connection there, because like and I've seen it happen, if two LOLcows get into a scuffle, they'll have defenders and attractors. Like there are safe, what do you call it? Safeguards. Like so for instance, there's an instance in Chris Chan history where, due to them being hoarders and starting an electrical fire because a Keurig was plugged into the bathroom, their house went up in flame and they basically had to live in a hotel, and it was condemned, and they had to blah, 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 blah. A bunch of money and time up in smoke, literally. When, his trolls found out about it, they rallied together and sent this huge care package worth thousands of dollars and like a money order to them. And like they did eulogies when Chris Chan's father died. Like that's the thing. It's not a completely, it is toxic, but it's not a completely toxic, heartless scenario. It's just like a dysfunctional family. It's like disapproving parents who still pay their kids allowance.
Yeah.
It sounds awkward.
Oh, it is.
Right.
It is.
And I don't do well with awkward.
Because you're basically watching the downward spiral of a human. I
don't do well with watching awkward in movies. So like awkward thing, it's I don't think it's something that is just not going to, it doesn't bode well with me.
No, yeah, it won't gel for everybody. And it, like, as we speak, I was even like, should I even do this show? Because I'm so over it now. Like, I've cut down so much. I'm just basically watching the current sagas play out so I can get a little anecdotal closure, because there's a couple of things going on with Cyrax getting shot at that was more than likely just a mousetrap in his bed. But I'm waiting for the conclusion of that, should there be any. And then with King Cobra, I feel like there's something about to pop with him, but I don't know what. Like, he always has just strangers show up. Like, he'll bring over just strangers that his trolls think are his pill dealers, unconfirmed, allegedly. I don't know if he does pills or not, but it's talked about. So I don't want to get sued or anything. Allegedly. But it is kind of like an antagonistic, like a bunch of older siblings that it's like the most toxic version of like an 80s family movie where like the older brother is a complete through and through dick, but is like the hero of the story at the end to be like, yeah, I still love you, even though I'm a dick. It's kind of like that, but it's everybody. It's the whole family.
Yeah.
And his white knights do a fair job. I mean, all of their white knights do a fair job of protecting them from most of the harmful stuff and being their cheerleaders and stuff.
Yeah, and like they've got moderators that are trolls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love it. It's an intense web that, had I the time, I'd really like to dive into, but yeah, as aforementioned, it gets kind of gross. And another hidden feature of a lot of these LOLcows is they're just jukeboxes on repeat.
Yeah, I was gonna say everything gets very repetitive.
So, like as aforementioned, Cyrax is always leaving whatever platform he's on, being it Facebook Live or YouTube, and he's always constantly fighting with his head troll music because Marty. King Cobra has no like cabal. Like there's a cast of characters, but no one stands out as like a main troll or any recurring character that's antagonistic. Whereas Chris Chan had villain after villain after villain enter his life and then her life after the fact. And it was just like, so, you know, if you like a low grade, like family of trolls making fun of someone, you go to King Cobra. If you want to see a man named Music Biz Marty mess with a guy named Cyrax and have them essentially have gang warfare where there's bullets being exchanged hypothetically into each other's skulls, you can have that too.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's low energy ones too, where like the trolls are completely because they'll do a thing called, it's like the equivalent of love bombing, but it'll just be like a pure stream of like toxic positivity toward them, which I think is worse than the outright hostility.
Yeah.
Because it feels more sinister.
Well, Jill said it sounds like they finally get the attention they desire and don't understand what kind of attention they're getting until it's too late.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
A lot of this too, I think if the places involved had like, you know, bulletproof mental health care systems or attentive parents or any number of things. That's the thing. I feel like the system gets a lot of blame when like the parents are like, I have a child. I'm around him all the time. And if he grows up to be a fuck up, I can't be like the system because that was me. So that's the thing. It's like a bunch of failed parents too, because Chris Chan's parents were in that saga. So it's, you know, they were bad parents. Like that's just the long and the short of it. On top of the autism, they were just straight up terrible parents. And when you deny somebody attention their entire life, there's going to be a place where they can get it. And here we are. That's why we have lightning in the bottle again. Is it might not exist in the same way going forward, because eventually I'm sure people will, somebody's going to turn an eye toward this and be like, okay, this is bullshit. We have to somehow get a handle on it.
Right.
But we're still in that time when it's like, hey, e-begging is a legitimate thing. It's keeping a lot of people who would be out on the streets off. It helps their trolls and satellite peripherals make a living in some way. It's okay. Look at it like this. In the early days when the boom and bust towns, when you'd find copper, or you'd find silver, you'd find gold, and the town would build up and you go, oh my God, woohoo, happy days. And then the mine dries up. That's just the same thing that's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Chris Chan's in jail, you know, the town is slowly dying because the content is drying up. And that's the thing. It moves in waves. And eventually, no matter how dumb, the show gets old. The person wises up. There's always something at the end of this rainbow where we go, oh, you know, that was a fun ride.
Well, like with King Cobra, you know, I haven't seen a lot of ones where he gets super duper angry. And apparently it seems like he used to have a really bad temper when it came to the trolls, and now
he'll drinking kicked up and that sort of faded away, because when he's sober he's more angry, and that's part of it too. Yeah, it is depressing because you're King Cobra's drinking himself to death.
Yeah,
but
and
it doesn't make me want to watch this anymore.
Oh no, I'm not saying you should watch it. I'm not a proponent of this at all. I'm just fascinated by it as a subset of humanity.
It's a crazy.
But put aside the specific details. I will go into any subject this deep. I just happened to find a rabbit hole I liked in that it was a LOLcow and a troll at the end of it. But any subset or culture in the internet has these sort of inner workings and like small town politics and that sort of bullshit. It's just this comes across to me like an onion when you cut it in half, because the concentric rings always come from one thing. Other places, whether it be, you know, around a cartoon, whether you're a brony or any other weird subculture on the internet, you're coming together for a cultural touchstone. And with trolls and LOLcows, you're coming together on a single head of a pin. And so you can see the layers, and it's sort of, it's like one of those oddly satisfying videos where, yeah, it's full of weirdos, but you can see the layers and you go, oh, that's a nice layer of weirdo right there.
Right. Jill says part of the soft white underbelly I didn't know existed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Kayla goes, what? We're not doing a LOLcows watch party? She asked sarcastically.
That's the thing. I wouldn't want to, because I don't want to get in the crosshairs of any of these people necessarily. Like, if I could low-key get one of them on for an interview real quick without anybody knowing so that the trolls don't pop into my shit,
Yeah.
I would consider it. But there's no way in hell that would happen. So, nuh-uh. I don't.
Not a chance.
Not looking to have that on my door. But here's the thing. If I were a single dude, I would legitimately consider it. Because if you can make yourself either a LOLcow content creator or a LOLcow yourself, like whether you're a modern day Andy Kaufman and it's all an elaborate gag, good on you. Or if you're someone mentally ill who's tragically slipped through the cracks of our society, you're both there for the same reason, to make money.
Right.
I mean, and you might as well. It's there. So, PJ, I'm glad you came here and sat confusedly through all of this.
I don't even know what to say.
I think there's got to be some subset of culture out there that interests you that must be weird to me, right? Beyond Star Wars?
Star Wars is weird to you.
Beyond Star Wars. I mean niche. Because say Star Wars
I don't
aloud.
really, but I'm not really big into anything niche anymore, though. Like, I've kind of cut down a lot of I cut down a lot of things that I would even attempt to like try to get into, because like I only have so much time in a day. So,
Yeah.
Like I don't really follow anything niche, to be honest.
That's part of it too, is if like it depends on how deep or surface level you want to go, because I don't like to watch a lot of movies because I feel like I'm the type of person who likes to get into the details and the nitty gritty and absorb all of it that I can so that I know the lore of whatever I'm interested in. And this is perfect for that because there's a bunch of people out there making content for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, I agree. Jill said, I think you won niche with LOLcows. And I'm like, yeah, LOLcows is pretty niche, and I don't think I could get into anything more niche than that.
right, well, that's what I'm saying. You say Star Wars, everybody goes, yeah, I know what fucking Star Wars is. You say LOLcow, and they go, what the fuck is that?
Like my niche things are niche things to certain people, but not the majority of people.
Right. Like everyone knows what D&D is.
Yeah, but here's another thing I think that I like about it too, is I personally, wherever you want to stand this, it doesn't matter, but personally, I feel like art is best when it comes from as few sources as possible, i.e. a single artist. So if you want to call what these LOLcows are doing performance art or trolls, I feel like it is an interplay here going on that everybody is wholly invested in, and everybody's playing their part because they're coming from a single point of view, and that's why the drama, I think, is so compelling to me as a viewer and everybody involved as a troll and a fan and a white knight and so on. Because it's pure, and there's something visceral about that too. Not only being so open about everything, but being so pure about what and who you are. Whereas like Star Wars, yeah, it's fun, but every frame and every scene and every costume has a million fingerprints on it.
Right.
So it's sort of conglomerated. Whereas this guy, King Cobra, that's him through and through. Cyrax, that's him through and through. It's not like nobody in a boardroom is sitting in front of 10 other people wearing suits being like, Cyrax, go, right? Like, let's
They're their own small business.
Get this Cyrax plushie going. No, like it's a give and take, because the trolls, sometimes they'll fabricate schemes that don't work. So it's a lot like true crime. It's a lot of give and take, and it's like a long form interrogation where you say, well, which side is playing who? Because a lot of these LOLcows, I wonder if it is just for like the money.
Yeah.
Like it blows my mind because like there was one guy I thought for sure was like, you know, a grade A paper stamped and certified by the U.S. government piece of shit. And then I see him appear in this other piece of media where he's like well-spoken and intelligent and basically like, yeah, I'm doing it for the lulz and the cash is pretty fucking good too. And I go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I can't even feel bad with a clean conscience because this person might be enacting something they're not. So it's not even reality in the reality of the person experiencing it necessarily. It's wild.
Oh.
It's a mind-blowing ride. And if you want to get into it, you can go deep, my friends.
Yeah.
Because if you become a LOLcow, everybody looks you up from when you were born and beyond. And so if you're a person who likes the details of, you know, somebody's backstory, I can dig that shit like a shallow grave.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're never going to see another Chris Chan, but there's like rumblings that Cyrax is going to be the next, but no way.
I don't like I don't like him. If we were to if I were to like
He's the one I go to the least.
yeah, if I were to like willingly watch any, it's King Cobra. The only part like with the Boglum Chronicles, only to
Yeah.
read the chat.
Shout out to the Boglum Chronicles. So funny. I will recommend, I'll double down. As soon as this is done, if you think of it, look up Street Racing Scene on YouTube, or I think it's on Spotify. I'd play it for you now, but here's the thing. One of the sagas regarding Cyrax is he releases songs. Obviously, he's a music artist. So he releases songs. What Music Biz Marty did was take the songs, or was it William Gloryhole? Maybe it was William Gloryhole. One of his trolls took them and had them copywritten under himself. So now every time Cyrax plays his own songs on his streams, they're copyright claimed by one of his trolls.
That's crazy.
And so I'd play it for you. If that wouldn't happen, I'd probably shut down the show.
Tony says for the ones that are acting, it's a character. But I think the ones that aren't acting, I think they see those other people thinking the characters are real life,
Yeah.
and think that they can do that too.
And that's just it. It's a fine line where like, do they actually believe that they're famous and have all this clout? But you'll never know. Like if you're a good enough actor, it's like the old saying about hair pieces. You only notice bad toupees. Like you'll never see a bad wig because you won't notice it.
Right.
And that's the thing. There are some out there that have tried to rise and become their own LOLcows and couldn't cut it because they weren't good enough actors, ironically.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's real quick. Everybody, because Chris Chan is a pioneer, someone tried to steal his identity and became Chris Chan himself. So there was Solid Chris and Liquid Chris a la Metal Gear Solid. And every major LOLcow hence has had a liquid version of themselves. There was a Liquid Cobra. I think there was a Liquid Cyrax. Every big LOLcow has a liquid version at some point. And some of them are pretty good. Like, it's method acting at its finest.
The Liquid Chris was crazy.
It's wild. That's the thing. If any of this is compelling to you, look it up. If not, then don't worry about it because it's a wild ride.
Yeah.
But don't become a pay pig. That's the thing. No matter what you do, I pray you don't become a pay pig, because if you do think this is morally reprehensible, and, you know, I can see where you could come at it with that, you know, but it's an intriguing concept because I want to get something with somebody's face on it, but I don't want to be a part of that system other than a casual observer, because, yeah, it does feel kind of sticky and weird to
You
stick
will
your...
never be able to put one of their faces on any of your stuff because their stuff is so small that if they search and find you, it's over. So,
Well, that's the thing. There's a million people on Etsy doing it right now. And like, what? But that's the thing. Who are you gonna call? Like, these LOLcows can't call the
not
police.
Ghostbusters.
Exactly. Because like Cyrax, he will call the police, and the police show up, and he pulls his laptop out to the front yard, and he's like, "My trolls," and they go, "Yeah, kid." And they rub his scabby head, and they usher him back inside. Because like, what do you do? Like, if you're Cyrax, and a guy named William Gloryhole wrote your...
Like what you just described, I would physically have a hard time watching.
Yeah, it's wild. But that's the thing. You have to sort of check out and realize that since it's all fake,
It's not though.
It
I think for
is.
some of them it's not, and I think that's why I would have a hard time watching.
well, I mean, fake in that it's not like there's never any real danger aside from when. I mean, obviously sometimes trolls take it too far, but by and large, there's never really any danger. It's just wind on both sides blowing and money changing hands.
I know, but like with some of these people, like they like the people who legitimately need help. It doesn't sit well with me.
Right, but think of it this way
There's
though. If we
Even
take
like on a moral level, it doesn't sit well.
but again, so think about it like this: we take away their internet access, right? No Chris Chan internet, no King Cobra, no Cyrax, no any of these people. They are now forbidden from e-begging because it is exploitative, and they are suffering from abuse, and they are subsiding off of what they can pull in as a human being with their physical and/or mental defects. Now what? Like, does their life improve or does it go down? Like, I would argue it's better to have it than not, because in any other scenario, I cannot see a place where King Cobra, if he's overdrawn his bank account yet again and rent is due and he's going to get kicked out on the street, I don't see another way for him to pop up and magically pull a few $100s out of his ass, save for a bunch of pay pigs who keep his ass afloat.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, he probably does need some sort of mental help for whatever issue, but on the other hand, what's he doing? He sits at home on his chair all day and people funnel money into him. But if he had to go out and find a job, how would that go? Like, he's already on Social Security. Like, but it's a complicated issue. So I understand you want to draw a hard and fast line where you go, this is wrong because there's exploitation, but it's sustainable. So, like, if it's one thing, or rather, it would be one thing if all of this was happening and there was no money exchanging hands, because it would be abuse for the abuse's sake. But since we're all allowed to sort of clean our conscience,
okay to pay people for abuse.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's okay, but since it is sustainable and it's not, because that's the thing. If it were being done to destroy the person, it would happen like that. It doesn't take much for the internet to destroy someone.
Right.
Since the name implies a cow, this is a milking for content, and so it would be against everybody's best interest to get them out of the mood of how they are most active. So I would say say that there's some sort of protection built in, because you, as a troll, I imagine you wouldn't want to go so far to push them off the platform completely, which I've seen. And you also don't want them so checked out that what they're doing is basically nothing and the economy for them can't grow.
Yeah. Jill says self-exploitation gets special privileges.
Right. And here's the thing. Like, look on Instagram, TikTok, wherever, and tell me that all of these chicks and all of these anime or skimpy shorts or tight shirts and shit, like, are they not exploiting something for their personal benefit?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get, like, so we get, okay, there's a bunch of dudes burning it down to your Instagram reels, and we go, okay, that's okay, because there's, we'll not talk about that. But you change that huge pair of, what are the Yabos? Huge pair of Yabos to a guy, with walleyes and stuff, and there's still an economy there, and, far fewer people are masturbating to it, but it's still serving the same essential purpose. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it personally, and as the thing, you may not see this, but I personally find all the chicks who just jump around on a 7-second Instagram video or TikTok or YouTube short or whatever, they get billions of views and people go, well, you can't blah, 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 because yada, yada, yada. There's an audience for it, so I can't complain. But personally, I find that abhorrent, because what are you flaunting?
Is, but nothing's going to change that either.
Exactly. But that's the thing. That's why I'm not going to pick.
That's also because sex sells.
Right.
So.
But so does Crazy.
True.
Like, Crazy has been the second best-selling product after sex was invented.
I also just think that there's a very, very fine line that can be broken with this, and
Right, but that's the thing. Like, people in your IRL, like, you can marry someone who's actually a horrible monster that murders you. Like, there's no like, just because you interact with more people doesn't necessarily mean that you're not. Because I mean, these people are easily manipulatable, and if you're going to be that way, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
It's just, at least this way, there's a positive outcome, because, you know, as petty as it is, the trolls get to feel good about themselves in that schadenfreude, gross, like, I'm better than you because you're a dirt grub way. And the person at the behest of that gets to, you know, live the life of a king, essentially, as far as they're concerned. Like, King Cobra gets to live off of everything he always wants. He gets the cigars and cigarettes and booze and fast food and shit. Like, it's his idea of paradise, and all he's got to do is just
do a live stream for 6 hours where half of it he's playing a video game.
Yeah. And, you know,
he's
like,
just documenting his
like everybody
real life.
else, you want to get mad and be like, you know, contribute to society. And that's what a lot of these trolls will say. Contribute. Pull your own weight. When, if you think about it, they've got their own economy. You're here because of them. We're all doing this because of them. So to look from inside an ecosystem and be like, get a job when you are basically an employee at their factory.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing. You say, well, if it's not the LOLcow, you don't get the troll, and vice versa. But without the troll, you don't get the white knight. And without the white knight, you don't get the pay pigs.
Yeah.
And without the pay pigs, this is just a sick downward spiral of complete human degeneracy. But
And
there's
then it wouldn't exist anymore.
yeah, but there's a system of checks and balances, because there are people out there, however far askew their lines are, that will act as at least mild white knights.
Yeah.
And they'll get to be moderators or whatever. And that's why you're here, PJ. You're a moderator of this show, because I don't want people be, you know, pointing at me as I'm a LOLcow. Also, you're not a moderator. I lied just then. But tell you what, PJ, do you want to like plug anything? Is there anything you want to are you going to be doing? Are we doing anything in the near future? I'm going to wrap up the show. Is what I'm getting at.
I don't think we have anything planned right now. I've been reading a lot recently, so I've been doing audiobooks plus physically reading two separate things at the same time. So I've been reading the Drizzt series, which is a D&D book series by R.A. Salvatore. And then I'm also reading Brandon Sanders, or my audiobook is Brandon Sanderson. I'm doing the Way of the Kings book at the moment, which is it's part of his long epic series, which it's like 4 books and they're each like 1,500 pages. It's like ridiculously long.
Yeah, that's like a detail hog. Like, you love that shit, so I see why you're into it. But like that, it feels so daunting to me. But yeah,
well, he has like 26 books. Only 4 of them are part of that type of series. His other ones aren't remotely like super detailed like that. His other series are more focused on specific things. It's just I've read some of his other series and I wanted to get into this one, and this one is so much more detailed and there's so many characters it's focusing on.
Yeah, maybe that puts me in the mind of maybe I'm going to start a grassroots movement, because you talk about reading a real book, which is like, what? Because I'm trying to push my way through a couple of books, The Last Ronin and the new Pendergast book, but it seems like more and more I'm feeling the yearning to want to get back out into brick and mortars. I'm really, in my heart, pulling that Toys R Us makes a triumphant return like a phoenix from the ashes, and that shopping IRL becomes a thing again. Because I think that since we've become so isolated and separated, like, I don't want Black Friday to come back because we went out today and it was totally fine. I don't want those days to come back. But I want to go out into real life and touch shit again. I don't want to scroll through my phone anymore. I think we need to start looking for that again.
I want to go back to thrift stores, even like just Goodwill.
I have it a lot in my area, like,
because we're gonna
like smaller stores and stuff.
We're gonna work ourselves out of fun, because like Paramount said they're gonna stop making physical media, and how long before everybody else does that? And then we'll just be fucked over based on whatever's offered through a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I say, man, we want that physical shit. Plus, it's fun to collect stuff. Like,
Yeah,
That's
look at the
half
studio.
the reason we exist is to collect goofy shit, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's why I started reading again, because it's one of the only physical things that's not like that's gonna stop, because that's what it's always going to exist in the physical space.
And
So-
plus, a book is nice because it's kind of like a trophy, because it represents like a story. You go, "Oh, that was a good story," but you go, "Look how many words I fucking read." Look at
Yeah.
that bookshelf. You go, "Oh my
Achievement
god."
unlocked. I
Yeah,
read a
you
book.
go, "God damn it, that's so nice." Plus, it's nice also to like when people come over and they go, "Oh, what are you reading?" You can actually point to stuff and know, like you're not, because I've got a bunch of books out there, and I could just as easily like spin a wheel and point at something and be like, "This is great," and they're not gonna care, and I won't know. So it's nice to like be legitimate.
Yeah. Jill says Red Rising book series was sick.
What's the genre, Jill? I'm looking for a new series, so I'm interested. But yeah, that's it, guys. The next
dystopian science fiction.
Okay. I do love science fiction. I never considered myself like a sci-fi or a Western
Big
person.
fantasy fan, whether it be
I can't do
it can be
fantasy.
high fantasy, it can be sci-fi fantasy.
Blech. Can't do it. Fantasy is just too disconnected for me. I just don't feel the gears. Oh no. Red Rising is fantasy. Sorry. A fantasy does not stick. I've tried because all of my friends in high school and junior high, they read fantasy books. PJ reads them, obviously. Can't do it. I don't know why. But give me
I love
like
'em.
the Foundation trilogy, any of those like
But Pendergast has some fantasy to it.
no, it's more sci-fi. Like all of it's
But
pseudo
no,
sci-fi.
sci-fi is still fantasy. Fantasy is not like high fantasy is like medieval time. Sci-fi fantasy is its own thing. The books that I'm reading, that one Way of the Kings, that's sci-fi fantasy. That's not high fantasy.
But here's the thing: when you say sci-fi, not that we need to get off the rails here at the last fucking 40 minutes of the show, but when you say sci-fi, I know science fictions are going to be centered around technology and gadgets and shit, and it'll probably be the future and/or an alternate present. Whereas fantasy, I tie to magic and like everything happens because it's just the way it is, and there is no explanation. Because you can't explain a spell scientifically. Jill says PJ's right, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, so there's one of the books that I read from the author that I'm reading right now is a book that takes place in on another planet that humans got stuck on, and they can't get off because of the way but yeah, it's sci-fi. There's no magic in the world. It's like it's still rooted in that, but it's still in his overall universe. There's just no magic in it, but it still exists in that space. It's just in a different time.
Well,
frame.
okay, so maybe I'm just a stickler because when you say fantasy, if it doesn't have magic in it, I don't consider it fantasy.
Yeah, magic does not have to exist in fantasy.
This is
Fantasy is
bullshit.
just a world that is different from our own.
Well, then that's just fiction. This is bullshit. Listen, here's the thing. Everything's made up, and you can slice up anything you want as much as you want, because I can make up as many genres as I want to.
Everything is made up and the points don't matter.
It's whatever. But moral of the story is I like my stories to center around gadgetry and/or like detective work. Whatever, magic, fantasy is just not my thing. But and I've
Dave is he's got fantasy in a very specific line, but I think I'm gonna broaden your horizons. It's fine.
But that's the thing. I don't think you will, because I've tried and tried and tried.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Because like
You watch LOLcow and we'll work on it.
you've got to pick up Altered Carbon, then the book. Because
I mean, I can.
It's-
I liked the show for the most part. So
and the book kicks it in the dick. Like it is so
the
great.
book kicks everything. Like the books are always better.
Not
'Cause
necessarily.
You create most of the time because you create the space in your head. So what
Right.
you create in your head is always going to be different from what some director creates on screen. That's just how it
By and
works.
large, yes. But I think the miniseries came hella close to being like everything I would want to try and picture in my head. But but also diminishing returns like the Star Wars films. Anyway, guys.
Hey, don't throw punches and then walk away.
But that's all the time we got. Jill, I appreciate. Yes, Altered Carbon is amazing,
Oh my
and
God,
it's not
it's so
just for
good.
Joel Kitterman's tight ass. Am I right?
Hey,
Anyway, that's it. I appreciate everybody coming by. We'll do it again next week. I forget what's happening.
Tony will be here.
Oh yeah. So next week I'm really looking forward to it. So we're doing a breakdown of one of the Dexter killer's interrogations, Mark Twitchell. So he's the guy who basically wrote his own memoir, Serial Killer Confessions, and yada yada. So Tony and I'll be going over that, and it's a good one because, again, he wanted to meld reality and fantasy, but there was no magic, and that's why he got caught. Dexter wasn't a wizard.
Damn.
Anyway, guys, that's it. So we'll see you next time for another episode. Thank you, PG, for being on, and I appreciate you all for being here. Bye, guys.
Bye.
For the